Shabbat Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, we are definitely in some very interesting times. I don't know about you, but each day feels different. And I see our people getting stronger out here, especially when I look at things like the boycott that's going on, that's really gotten bigger from what I understand against the Asians. And also, there are a lot of our people refusing to shop with Latino because, they have the bodegas. So things are changing. And we are going to feel the changes on a spiritual level. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think many of us are so tired of this place. We are, but we know we must endure until the end. So, y'all, we're going to get into Avoiding the Misdirection by Israelites Gathering. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. I'm doing great as always. Ready for another Shabbat lesson, and always thankful to come into another Shabbat.
Praise Yah. So, how your new year starting so far?
I think it's been great, and I think a lot of things have happened personally that have really helped me to refocus my attention on the Most High, and on and just focusing on really stepping things up, in my walk with the Most High, and drawing closer to Him. My wife got me a shofar for my birthday, and I've been meaning to. I've told her, tons of times that I'm going to get one. I mean to get one, but I never got around to it. And so she surprised me with one on my birthday, and I really took it as a sign, even from the Most High, like, hey, what I'm saying, you're the priest and the king of your household, like, handle your business and do what you got to do. So that's what I looked at it. So I really think it's a time to refresh, and we got Passover coming up soon, and that's definitely a time to help refresh and remember the covenant that we all took, by taking, walking this walk.
Praise Yah. Absolutely, absolutely. And you were right. As we grow as that spiritual tree, that spiritual husbandry of the Most High, He says that He purges the fruit so that we may grow more fruit. So, as we start to get comfortable in our walk with our understanding and with, making the changes and overcoming and repenting, He's going to purge us even more. And He's going to cause things to resurface, almost like when a woman is pregnant and she is carrying a child, because she's about to bring life, her body starts rejecting everything. I'm talking about any sickness she has starts to resurface, any cold or virus or childhood things she's dealt with starts to come out the body. It starts to purge. So, because something new is coming. So that's what's happening in your life, brother. It's normal. And it's also a sign of your spirituality, the fact that you're looking at it from a spiritual lens and not from a carnality, like, oh, well, let me just, do this or it's just a coincidence. No, take all these things and all these things happen carnally so that we can understand something spiritually. So praise Yah for that. So again, we are Israelites gathering. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our Shabbat. The title of our Shabbat study today is going to be Avoiding the Misdirection. We just have so much going on right now. We were even talking offline about these bloodlines and how they control everything, and how, the average, citizen doesn't even understand their own history. Even Gentiles, much less the children of Israel, don't even understand where you came from, and what the power structure was. They're all being, told that things were a certain way, and all of that is misdirection. And the people that are doing this, they understand the truth. They making covenants. They are in the craft together, and they're coordinating this misdirection for a reason. Why do you do misdirection? It's for a reason. Just like a bullfighter, you're misdirecting for a reason. So before we get started, if you haven't already, you can visit our website at israelitesgathering.com. We also have our cell phone applications that you can download on the App Store and Android for free. We'll give you access to all the Hebrews, give you access to all of our study materials, as well as our Holy Days calendar, which is up. We just celebrated Rosh Hashanah, which is head of the year, the new year. For those that are not familiar with the calendar, we use the ancient Zadokian calendar, which was in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is also supported by Torah, and fills in the gaps with a lot of stuff that was removed or not available in Torah. And basically what it shows us is that, when you have equal day and equal night, which when we look at the solar times, we see happened around the 16th to 17th in Jerusalem around that time. And the day after that is the first day of the year, which will coincide every year. It'll start on a fourth day of the week, which is Tuesday night, which is consistent with Torah in Genesis chapter 1, which says in verse 11 through like 18 or something like that, it talks about the fourth day is when the sun, moon, and stars were given, which are our signs for our days, season, years, months, and all of that. So that brought us to the 18th, which was Tuesday night, which is the new year, and which also lines up with the other ancient scriptures that we found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which talks about the Psalms of Sabbath sacrifice, where the kings tracked the Sabbath day of the entire year, which put the first Sabbath on the fourth day of the new year, which is today, fourth day of the first month, which put us right on track with what our ancient ancestors did. So that just brings us to today. What we're going to do before we get into class, I want to just take a look at this misdirection. Let's just look at the definition of misdirection, because we got a lot of stuff going on. We got planes falling out the sky. We got immigration. We got inflation, money dropping, recession, everything. And then while all this is going on in our individual lives, life be lifing. We got things going on. People are dying. Situations are arising. People being exposed. All kind of things are going on in our personal life. And it's all coordinated together to misdirect you, to have you focus on what you shouldn't be focusing on, so the evil can do what it needs to do without you seeing it. So looking at the Oxford Dictionary, the definition of the word misdirection, it's the action or process of directing someone to the wrong place or in the wrong direction, the wrong or inappropriate use or application of something, a wrong instruction given by a judge to a jury. So you're purposely misleading somebody. All right. So now why would somebody do that? So let's just take a look at some of the reasons and the people that do it. Right. So you have misdirection, heavily used in magic. Right. So this is a technique used when performing magic tricks. So witchcraft. When I'm doing witchcraft, I'm going to use the act of misdirection so I can do witchcraft. All right. Misdirection, a technique used for the purpose of pickpocketing. So I want to steal from you. I want to steal your whole heritage. I'm going to have you focus on something else. Right? And then you have misdirection and pickleball, a deceptive strategy when hitting the ball, or the counter trade like in football, where we'll do misdirections, we'll do counters, we'll do different things. Here's another one in combat, a feint, a technique used in strategy games and warfare where I'm a jab and fake like I'm gonna go one way to lead you that direction, but I'm really trying to attack you here. And we use that heavily in martial arts, where we'll use the masculinity of a man against him. If I push a man hard, he's gonna push me back 90% of the time. And when pushing me back, he's got to move towards me or push towards me. And now I can use his momentum to bring him to the ground. So these are all strategies. And then look here, limited hangout, a technique used by intelligence services. So this is the agents that come onto our classes, they come in our assemblies, and they hang out and act like they want us. But really, it's to misdirect you, that they really have another purpose going on. And then psychobabble and technobabble, techniques used in fast talk. So this is used often in politics where they're using this fast words and things that you don't know. Alternative truth. What's an alternative truth? Half lies, half truths. Half truth is a full lie. What are you talking about? Psychobabble, all this to misdirect. So praise Yah. So with that being said, I just want to set the standard here for what we about to get into. This misdirection that's going on, that is not, you can't just sit here and blame the white man, blame media, or blame anybody, because life is doing this to you. And while you're trying to deal with life and the things that are in front of you, which require a lot of your attention, you can't control it all. So you have to leave some of this to Yah, for Yah's will to be done, so that you can put your attention to the things that you're supposed to keep your attention to without, letting your carnal life just fall apart because you're not dealing with the things in life. So you got to watch for the misdirections. All right, so we're going to open up in Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 27. Mishlei, chapter 27, and this is an open forum. So if you have questions, comments, if you agree, disagree, if you have anything, as long as we do it decently order, we can go ahead and address that. So again, we're going to Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 27. And Shabbat Shalom, as always, to Sis Stephanie Hicks and your home. Blessing. Shabbat Shalom and blessings to Sis Ariel. Good to see you as well. Shabbat Shalom, Sis Evie. Good to see you as well. And my brother said, stop feeding him so well. He eating too good over there. I didn't mean to throw him under the bus. My bad. Shabbat Shalom to my brother Yafi Yahawada. Good to see you as well. And let's go ahead and get started. So, brother, whenever you're ready, and Shabbat Shalom always to my lovely queen sitting directly across from me.
All right, Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 27 and verse 1. Boast not yourself of tomorrow, for you know not what a day may bring forth.
So how you gonna brag about what you gonna do tomorrow? You don't even know you're gonna be alive. What dollar amount can you name that you can hit that's guaranteeing you're gonna be here tomorrow? A trillionaire, billionaire? What number do you have to hit?
If you want to know something funny about Dutch culture, right? Mm-hmm. It's interesting because, Black people, we can be pretty spur of the moment. You know what I'm saying? We can be pretty, casual as far as how we deal with other people, making appointments and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But if you want to just go out or hang out with someone here in the Netherlands, literally Dutch people are so, how do I say it without being offensive? Dutch people are so yeah, they're so by the book basically that they have things planned months in advance.
Right.
Months in advance.
They so Gentile.
And
I mean, my mother is like that. You know, that's
oh,
just
okay.
that's just their nature.
Wait,
They're
you
like,
kidding me?
wait a minute. You said that.
Right. Like here, you can't just go to someone's house and just show up, unannounced. You know what I'm saying? Or you
Right.
can do anything like that, or just say, "Hey, I'm coming over," or whatever. It's like it's not going to happen. So it shows you the difference in the biblical mindset, the Hebraic mindset, and the way that these Gentiles are doing things.
Right. All right. So we're at
Because
Mishle.
sorry.
Go ahead, brother.
No, I was going to say, because when you're in this walk, and when you're dependent on Yah for everything, that, he can call your name at any moment, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he can call you back at any moment, you know what I'm saying? And you're looking at things with a spiritual eye and not a physical, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It all goes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead.
Finish what you're saying. I'll come in after.
No, I was just going to say that, people are so focused on the material world. They think, well, because I'm here and, that I'm just guaranteed to wake up. And it kind of takes a lot for granted when you look at things that way.
Right. And what I was going to say earlier was that, this is why Mashiach talks about, when we pray, like, don't be like the Gentiles. The Gentiles, they don't know the Most High. They didn't make covenant with the Most High like that. So they worried like, yo, will I have enough food to feed my guests when they come? Will I be able to comfortably put them in the room? Will I do? Whereas our culture's like, man, y'all gonna provide. He promised us. So we like, yo, hey, I'm happy to see you. We looking at the weightier matters because we've been taught these things. So the Gentile has to learn that from us, but now we're in their territory, strangers in their land, and we trying to treat one another the way the Gentiles treat each other. And Mashiach said specifically lordship. They lord over one another. And look what we're doing in our camps, trying to lord over one another.
Verse 2, let another man praise you and not your own mouth, a stranger and not your own lips. A stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but a fool's wrath is heavier than them both. Wrath is cruel and anger is outrageous, but who is able to stand before envy? Open rebuke is better than secret love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful.
And that's why, the people that are truly a friend to you in your life, they're not liked by everybody. They don't have the biggest crowds. They don't, they're not those type of people. Because when you are giving secret love and you're not rebuking people and you just accepting everybody and putting it under the shadow of love, that I just love everybody. No, that ain't love when you see your brother about to walk in a ditch and you say, well, I don't want him to be mad at me, so you don't say nothing. That's not a friend. That's a person that's around for the good times. But a friend gonna tell you, look, I know you're gonna be mad. I know you already. Just like anybody that come and tell me I'm doing something wrong, those is my friends. I ain't the easiest person to talk to. You might not tell with the classes, but I'm very sharp. So when my people come and talk to me, I have to make sure that I, for my own flesh, listen, stop, because that's a friend. But the kisses of the enemy are deceitful. They're going to tell you everything to use you, to misdirect you, to do whatever they want.
Verse 6, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. The full soul loathes a honeycomb, but to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet.
And this is what they use for the misdirection. All right. So if we were full, right, We would even want, we eventually get to a point where we don't want to eat certain things because we're so full. You can keep putting food in front of me. Eventually I'm gonna turn it away. I'm full. But when you starving, everything is sweet. So we are a people that are starving spiritually, starving financially, starving education-wise, of knowing what's going on history-wise, culture-wise. So everything seems sweet to us. So this is how they use to misdirect us. They feed us. We don't know what's going on. So we starving for information. So then here comes the media. Hey, this is what's going on. Hey, I've created this fear. Now here's the answer. So they giving us this bitter, nasty, poisonous things that they trying to put into our bodies, but it's sweet to us because we starving. So we got to learn how to fast from certain things, and we got to learn how to not be so easily misled and understand that, hey, if I'm starving, I might want to be careful what I eat because I'm going to have a tendency to want to eat whatever's in front of me.
Verse 8, as a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man that wanders from his place. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Your own friend and your father's friend forsake not. Neither go into your brother's house in the day of your calamity, for better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off.
So in other words, respect the alliances that your father, this is your father's house. If he made certain alliances with certain families, then try to align with that. Have respect for your father's friend. Treat him like an uncle. See, you shouldn't have to have a proverb for this. This should be how our community is taught. But look how we dealing with the elders out here. Disrespecting them, fighting them, doing all kind of crazy stuff. These are the people that would have went to school with our fathers. But if we don't know our father, how are we going to have respect for his friends? So this is the culture that we have to return to.
Verse 11, my son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproaches me. A prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished.
All right, so the prudent man, he sees the evil and he's hiding himself. But if they hide in the evil, how are you going to hide yourself? You can't hide it. The simple pass on and are punished. So we being misdirected, not seeing the evil, being simple, and now we're being punished. And that's the state of our people, in punishment. So let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 55. And one of the biggest misdirections that they do with us is they have us valuing the things that are valueless to us. The things that are not going to help us in longevity, they have us focusing on those things. Name brands and material things and, trash, to want to eat trash, the things that we would throw away. We trying to covet those things. So Isaiah, Yeshayah chapter 55, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
Ho, everyone that thirsts, come you to the waters, and he that has no money, come you, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat you that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness.
So in effect, he's saying, listen, you thirsty, you hungry, right? I'm the creator. I created you to operate, just like the manufacturer that created the car to work on gasoline or the Tesla to work on electricity. And you over there starving, needing this energy, needing this source. But you taking your resources and you purchasing things that's not helping you. It's not even satisfying you. Why do you think these people so depressed? Why narcotics is killing our people? You got people with money. Narcotics cost money. That's not a cheap drug. But people are over medicating themselves, spending all this money, getting drugged out. We talking about the rich, the elite, killing themselves, buying things that are not satisfying them. But here the creator saying, hey, come to me for free. He said, all you people that have nothing, you don't need to spend anything. Come to me and get what's meant to help you.
Verse 3, incline your ear and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I've given him for a witness to the people, a leader and commander to the people. Behold, you shall call a nation that you know not, and nations that knew not you shall run unto you because of Yahweh your Elohim, and for the Holy One of Yasharal, for he has glorified you.
So do we think him glorifying us is having us turn into the Gentiles and be focused on everything that they're focused on and be all worried and scared that the power is going to go out and all this stuff? The same thing the Gentiles, they building bunkers in the ground. They're just terrified. So how is that giving glory to Yah? Or is it giving glory to Yah when the people of Yah are focused on Yah and then delivered? Now the rest of the nations, which put all their focus on things that the world is telling them to focus on, figure out that ain't helping them. And they look to a people who are supposed to be the people of Yah, and they being saved. Now that makes sense.
Verse 6, seek ye Yahweh while he may be found. Call you upon him while he is near.
He's real near right now. And why I say he's near and he can be found, because you can open up your Bible. You can cut on the internet. You can listen to it. You can do all kinds of things. But when you on the run, you can't do that. When you in the wilderness, ain't no electricity, or we at war, you're not in that position. Now you feel like he's far from you because you can't run to him like that. So you want to develop all that now while he's near. So when he becomes far from our nation, because now we are in a different situation, you got him close to you.
You know, another thing on that same note about Yahweh being near, you know, it's funny because even when I look at my own testimony, I always had a Bible. Even before I came into the Word, I always had access to a Bible or several Bibles, physical Bibles. But I just never looked into it. I never read it and never had any interest in it. And to be honest, I even thought that I already knew about the Bible without ever having read it. I had a lot of thoughts, and it goes into this misdirection thing, is because I had a lot of thoughts about the Bible that weren't even my own. It was things that I hadn't looked into myself. It was all things that I picked up from these people who are purposely misdirecting us. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
having these thoughts in my head, and it kept me away from even approaching the Bible or even being curious about the Bible, because I thought, okay, I already know what this is about. I don't need to look into this. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because what I needed most was always near me when I needed it.
Right. Right. And, you know, and this is why it's so important for us, specifically the children of Israel, to speak against evil, to correct lies, because that is the misdirection. If I can get you to look at a lie long enough, and I repeat it long enough, they call it programming. You know, you hear it long enough, you will believe it. And that's what they did with this religion of Christianity. They told you the Bible, they claimed it long enough. God helps those who help themselves, and God don't like ugly, and all these things that ain't in there. They tell you, and you hear it so much, you'll argue somebody down. The Sabbath day is Sunday. Where it tell you that? So it's our responsibility that when we hear lies, we got to correct them. Nah, that's a lie. Because if we don't, it's going to become truth. And that's your fault, because you can't be around every lie that's told. That's not your responsibility. But when it's told in front of you, you the witness. You're supposed to say, "No, that ain't true. He wasn't there. That brother wasn't there. I only saw this man here." But don't do that job. That's sin unto you, because now an innocent person could be convicted, or the wrong person is getting off.
Verse 7. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto Yahweh, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon.
And that's us. We the wicked, because we forsake his way, whether we knew it or didn't know it. Just because you didn't know it was the Shabbat, that don't mean that you not subject to the law. So, okay, we got to forsake those ways, our ways, and the unrighteous thoughts that we have, and return unto Yah and say, "You know what? Is my thought righteous or unrighteous? Well, let me run it up against Yah's ways. It don't match up. Get rid of it." And Yah won't pardon us. Now, we not worried about whether or not there's going to be a nuclear bomb blowing up, or whether the stock market going to crash, or the food supply going to go out. All these misdirection that they throwing our way. Yeah, pay attention, but don't be worried.
Verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says Yahweh.
So why are we trying to question the Most High constantly? Why would the Most High do this? And why would you think that he would make you on his level? He made you for a reason. You think I'm gonna make a screwdriver do the same thing that I do? It's a tool. I made it to screw. That's our problem. We think we God, that especially the Gentile, they think that if they can't explain it, then they can't be. That's how these scientists operate. And when I say Gentile, that means the nations. It's not one specific group of Gentiles. That's just the Gentiles in general, the nations, because they weren't given the truth.
Verse 9. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
So just accept that. So now you focus more on, well, if his way says this, then that means it's righteousness. Let me try to apply it, and maybe he'll give me some understanding.
Yeah, and on that same note, this is why faith is so necessary, because you're not going to understand every little thing, because it's impossible. It's impossible to understand the very breadth of Yahweh. You understand? It's just, we're but mere human beings. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even think we could fathom the entirety of Yahweh.
Right.
So we have to have the faith that his words is true, and our faith is built when we actually put his word to the test and try it as he implores us to try his word and see that it's good. We have to do that so that our faith is built when we try this and we walk out on faith and we see, oh wait, Yah's word is actually true. I can step forward in this and continue to think forward, move forward in it, even when I don't completely understand what's going on or what Yah means here or there. And even sometimes Yah will give you understanding on something that you've been wrestling with for years or a long time. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you the understanding. So you really you can't approach it as the Gentiles approach things, which is like Brother Yadon mentioned earlier. They have to know everything for certainty before they can move at all. But, we're supposed to walk by faith and not sight.
Absolutely. Because we have a husband. We got a covering. We got a father. So we are taught that concept. You're not going to understand. You think I'm going to sit here and explain to a 4-year-old why he need to do something? Not on every occasion. Y'all give us some explanations, but if he about to harm himself, I'm not explaining nothing to you. You finna stop doing what you need to do, period. Then later, I might explain to you. But if I don't have any authority, how can I protect that young man? So it's the same thing with us. How can Yah protect us if we got to understand everything that he tell us to do or not to do before we listen? That's us taking for granted you're going to have tomorrow to figure it out. So because he came to us and he showed himself to us by miracles, by the goodness and the severity, we should understand.
Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 10. For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven, and returns not there, but waters the earth, and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it.
That's your confidence, Yasharal. Because you could say something and you a man, you may or may not do it. But Yah's word, you say his word, it's coming true. You can depend on it. Tried and true, solid. It will not go unto him void. So if the word that you speak is Yah's word and it's contradictory to you, that's a big warning. Because his word not coming back void. So maybe you might want to change your actions so that it can match what his word says. And they don't want us doing that, so they misdirect us and have us focus away from his word onto all the things that, listen, if there's a flood of water coming in here, I got to pay attention to it.
Verse 12. For you shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. And it shall be to Yahweh for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off.
Hallelujah. Let's go to Haggai. Haggai chapter 1. Haggai chapter 1. So why are we so focused on these things that are not going to benefit us? We're focused on it because that's what they're telling us to focus on. The misdirection. The devil did this in the garden. He said, look, there's two trees in the midst of the garden. What were the two trees in the midst of the garden? Can anybody tell me that? Any of the viewers, what were the two trees that were in the midst of the garden? This is all coming down to the art of misdirection. What were the two trees? So while we're going to Haggai, we're asking, what were the two trees? Right? You had the tree of good and evil, right? That was one of them. What was the other tree? See, that's what a lot of people thought. They thought it was a tree of good and evil. There was a tree. One was good and evil, and the other one, the tree of life. Absolutely. There's two trees. Two trees in the midst of the garden. Two trees. And what did the devil do? The devil say, oh my goodness. Did he say, hey, stay away from the tree of life? You might live forever. Did he do that? No. He said, focus on this tree of knowledge of good and evil so that I could misdirect you from life. So that's what the devil's doing, that same thing today. Don't focus on the book of life, the tree of life, which is Yah's word. Focus on good and evil, the things that I'm making look good and the evil that I'm hiding. The same thing. So this is the same misdirection that they got us focusing on these things that cannot sustain us, that can't even barely get us through the week. Meanwhile, they are attacking our salvation, our eternity. So we're at Haggai. Haggai, good answers. Haggai chapter 1, and we're going to read 1 through 11.
In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Jehoiada, and to Yeshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh of hosts, saying, This people say, the time has not come, the time that Yahweh's house should be built.
And that's what the people are going to say when it's not going to be financially beneficial to them to build Yahweh's house. Now, if you're the one that's building the construction worker, then of course it's always time to build Yahweh's house. But if this means you're not going to go spend your money on my leisure activities or purchase my idols because now everybody being devoured again, them the people that's going to say it's not time. So just like the people that's saying it's not time for us to be a nation again are the people that's making money off us being strangers.
Verse 3, Then came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it time for you, O you, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste?
So in other words, you're spending all this time to get a sealed house is a paneled house. So a house with multiple levels and panels and all kind of things. It's not just a basic dwelling. So you are living beyond your basic needs in luxury while the house of Yah is lying in waste. So they're talking about the physical house. Now let's look at it from a spiritual sense. You are putting all this attention into this temporary home that's you're not going to live in forever. You're going to die and somebody else going to inherit it. All meanwhile, your spiritual house, which is the tabernacle of Yah, the house of Yah, is just wasted in you because you ain't doing nothing to build that house. Misdirection. Well, everybody got to have a home. Happy wife, happy life, right? All those things, all the misdirections to keep you away from what is happy Yah. And then maybe you'll have a happy wife and a happy life. Tamshi?
Verse 5, Now therefore, thus says Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. You have sown much and bring in little. You eat, but you have not enough. You drink, but you are not filled with drink. You clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earns wages to put it into a bag with holes. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways.
So do we not consider that? Like, wait a minute, man, I'm working hard. I'm doing overtime. I'm doing all this stuff. And it's just never enough. Why? How can we spend money building the house of Yah when I can't even get enough to build my sealed house? Consider your ways. Why? Why can't you have enough? Why are you not appreciative of where you're at? Why are you not using some of your money to help those that are less fortunate? It's never going to be enough for you. That's human nature. So this is why we never have enough to help the homeless. We never have enough to build the ministry. We never have enough to go do the things that need to be done because we just need to have just a little bit more in the bank, just a little bit bigger house, a little bit better car, all these different things. All meanwhile, our spiritual house of Yah is just in shambles because we're not doing the things that Yah commanded us to do.
You know, King Solomon was a great example of this in that, at least initially, when he became king, he prayed for wisdom to judge and rule the people to rightly and righteously.
Right.
And because that was his heart to do so, Yah blessed him with riches and honor and all of that stuff anyways.
Absolutely.
But he didn't go asking for, selfish things for himself or whatever. He asked, how can I serve your people? And because of that, he was blessed with other things. But his heart was on Yah and his people first and foremost.
Amen. Amen. It says with wisdom, the companion is riches and gold and all that. It says, Ezekiel 28:4, with your wisdom and with your understanding, you have gotten you riches and has gotten gold and silver into your treasuries. So with that wisdom comes, that's the companion of wisdom and understanding is not only riches in the next world, but riches in this world as well. But because we can't operate in that fashion, we're poor people, basically, that don't know how to be kings, don't know how to operate with riches, it becomes our downfall. So y'all gotta be like, well, I can't have you. I can't give you all these riches. You're just going to kill yourself with. All right, finish that up through verse 11.
Haggai chapter 1 and verse 8. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, says Yahweh. You looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when you brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, says Yahweh of hosts? Because my house that is waste, and you run every man into his own house.
What kind of respect is that? You putting everything that Yah gave you, you didn't even give yourself this stuff. He gave you life, talent, ability, all that. And you take all of that to go make yourself straight, but you're going to leave the person who gave you everything to even get what you have in shambles. But we don't see a problem with that. And then we wonder why things won't work out.
Verse 10. Therefore the heaven over you is stayed from dew, and the earth is stayed from her fruit. And I called for a drought upon the land, and upon the mountains, and upon the corn, and upon the new wine, and upon the oil, and upon that which the ground brings forth, and upon men, and upon cattle, and upon all the labor of the hands. So
we are taught the Gentile, the Greek way to look at things. So we looking for a lot, and there's nothing there. Right? We're like, wait a minute, it's a drought. What are we going to do? We start to worry. But then the answer right there says, because, your actions, this is why you got no rain. This is why you got no land. This is why your situation is the way it is. Because you didn't do what you needed to do. So the Gentile mind frame is, well, let me look at how I can go create something to make water and all this stuff, instead of saying, well, let me deal with what have we done to this land that's causing it not to rain? Or what have we done to Yah that caused him to allow this calamity on us? And let me address that. And let me also look at what I can do to help the situation. But we're not taught that way. So when the Gentile realizes that they look at everything and everything scientific and all their ways to prevent this from happening, and it don't work, that's when you're seeing people jump off trees and jump off buildings and do all kind of stuff and kill themselves, because where else can they go? They don't believe in the Most High. So there's nowhere else to go. There's no hope. All right. So let's move on. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. So we're going to go into the Apocrypha. If you do not have access to the Apocrypha, again, you can go to our website, IsraeliteGatherings.com, or you can go in the app and you can access it. So we're going to 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, and 2nd Esdras is literally just Ezra.
On that same note, about what you just said about riches and money and wealth and all of that stuff, is like anything that you sit on the throne of your heart besides Yah is going to disappoint you, and is going, because it is going to vanish.
Right.
But we know Yah is forever. You know what I'm saying? So why not put Yah on the throne of your heart? You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what you have in life, you'll always be able to, no matter what happens in life, you'll always be able to be restored and continue walking with him. Like, for instance, if you sit, riches on the throne of your heart, it's like when those riches are gone or depleted, then you're going to think your life is over. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same with anything that you put or idolize in that way.
Right. Or anything that you idolize in that way, when you do have to go to sleep and it's your time, what thing is on the throne of your heart going to help you? going to give you any life after that, or speak up for you or do anything. Nothing. But Mashiach can speak for you. He right there in the right hand of the Father. So we're at 2nd Esdras. Let's start this at verse 1, chapter 14.
All right. And it came to pass upon the 3rd day, I sat under an oak, and behold, there came a voice out of a bush over against me and said, Esdras, Esdras. And I said, Here I am, Master. And I stood up upon my feet. Then said he unto me, In the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moshe, and talked with him when my people served in Egypt. And I sent him and led my people out of Egypt, and brought him up to the mount, of where I held him by me a long season, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, These words shall you declare, and these shall you hide. And now I say unto you, that you lay up in your heart the signs that I have showed, and the dreams that you have seen, and the interpretations which you have heard. For you shall be taken away from all, and from henceforth shall you remain with my son, and with such as be like you, until the times be ended. For the world has lost his youth, and the times begin to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part.
All right, so this is Ezra. So Ezra is at the time of us entering back into the land after we went to Babylon. So Ezra, the time of Ezra, he's saying the world has lost its youth and times begin to wax old. And he's breaking down the Creator's understanding that the world is divided into 12 parts. And 10 parts of it have already passed, and a half of the 10th part. So we are very, very close to the end. And because we live like men, it might seem like we have a long time. But at the end of the day, in comparison to the way Yah sees time, we are very, very close. So we're not going to know the difference.
Verse 12. And there remains that which is after the half of the 10th part. Now therefore set your house in order, and reprove your people, comfort such as them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from you mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto you, and haste you to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which you have seen happen shall be hereafter, shall be done hereafter.
So if you know that worse times are coming, are you going to prepare for the worst times? Or are you going to sit here crying and complaining about what you're going through now? So what they have to do is misdirect you, take you away from your Creator, which gave you the key, gave you the script, gave you the playbook, saying this is everything that's going to happen. Here's the whole script of the movie. Have you not focused on that part, and have you just focused on the danger that you're dealing with right now? The mortal things that everybody, I don't care if you're an Israelite, whether you're a Gentile, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, these are the things that are common to all men. You're going to always have to worry about these things. So why would you spend all your focus focusing on those things when you as a special people have been given a playbook? Say, no, look, this is what you need to worry about. Furthermore, he's telling you how close you are to that point. So the powers that be have to put all their resources into having you focus on the mortal things that are dealing with your now. He don't want you prepared, because what's coming from that part is your time. They don't want you to be prepared for your time. So we're being instructed, let go of the weak nature. It's weak of you as a man that when you are going through your troubles or your struggles, that you don't get up and do something about it. You just cry and complain about it. That's the weak nature. Put off that weak nature. Cast that burden. Do what you need to do. If you know that there ain't no food in the house, go work, do something, get some food. But don't be so wrapped up in the fact that you ain't got no food in the house that you can't protect your family from all the misdirection and spiritual battles and the famine that's coming upon the whole world. You worried about this one thing. Address that one thing, but don't let it misdirect you.
Verse 17. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much more that shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. For the time is fled away, and leasing is hard at hand, and now haste the vision to come, which you have seen.
And leasing is lying, the lies, false doctrine. Go ahead.
Then answered I before you and said, Behold, Master, I will go as you have commanded me, and reprove the people which are present. But they that shall be born afterwards, who shall admonish them? Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein are without light.
So we know that we going in captivity, and we're going to be without all this stuff, without a temple, without an ephod, without a prince and a teraphim and all that type of stuff. So when that happens, who going to help us? We don't have no light. We don't even have the book. We can't even read the language that we spoke. Verse 21.
For your law is burnt, therefore no man knows the things that are done of you, or the work that shall begin. But if I have found grace before you, send the Holy Ghost into me, and I shall write all that has been done in the world since the beginning, which were written in your law, that men may find your path, and that they which will live in the latter days may live.
So because of Yah's mercy, he gave it to our forefathers and said, here, write all this stuff down so that we today can read it and say, this is important. I know that the media is saying that this ain't even supposed to be in the Bible because they pulled it out. The media is telling you, religion is killing us. We need to be all one people. The media is telling us you need to be looking at the stock market. You need to be looking at Russia and all. Everything is telling you to look at everything other than what the ancients were given from the Most High for this time that we're in right now. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Daniel chapter 12. We are all here by free will. Nobody's being forced. Nobody's getting paid to be on this program. We're not getting a bunch of tithe money. We not 501c3. So the government not giving us no grants. We doing this out of the goodness of our heart and out of the obedience to the Most High that we put this information out. That's why it's not the most popular. Because we're giving you what the Most High gave us for these times. But people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that they're in danger. They want to hear that everything is great. But then when danger comes, then you're going to turn around and look at the people that's supposed to warn you and blame them. So it's a lose-lose. So if you're trying to please the people, you're going to lose. Because it's vanity. You're going to eventually lose. But if you try to please the Most High, you will eventually win. Guaranteed. So this ministry, we know what's coming because he told us what's coming. So we're going to keep your focus. We're going to remind you of what's ahead of you. And if it's, if it's too depressing, if it hurts your feelings, change the channel. But if your husband, your head, your priest, whoever's your covering, don't understand these things and are not preparing you or not working with other people for these times, you into some grave, shocking news when it hits you. So Daniel chapter 12, we about to get into this great tribulation because it ain't great times ahead of us. It's great tribulation ahead of us, then great times.
Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Mikael stand up, the great prince which stands for the children of your people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book.
All right, so yeah, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it like, oh my goodness, great tribulation. Or you can look at it that his people are going to be delivered, everyone found written in the book. Where do you want to focus? Keeping your name written in that book? Or, oh my God, grab your guns. So you got to pick a focus. So where are you going to put the majority of your focus? It's not saying don't pay attention. Don't make sure that you're covering for your house. But understand that it's already been written. Verse 2.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt.
And that's ultimately what you need to focus on. The great tribulation happens before all that. But at the end of the day, this is what you want to focus on, how you want to wake up. Because you're either going to wake up from death, or it's going to be the twinkle in the eye when the bodies are changed. But how do you want to wake up?
Verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
All right, so the book of these latter-day prophecies were sealed unto the end. So just because we didn't understand something last year or 20 years ago, doesn't mean we're not going to understand it today. The closer we get, the more things are being revealed. That's why we got to constantly go into these things and share the information that we have and grow, because these are our instructions. It shouldn't sneak up on us. They worried about Russia. They worried about China. We worried about the adversary, the devil. He going to use whoever.
Verse 5. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that lives forever, that it shall be for a time, times and half, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my master, what shall be the end of these things?
So even Daniel, the prophet, did not understand. So what if he said, I don't understand. I ain't finna write none of this stuff. I don't understand what I'm writing. What would we do today? We wouldn't have this stuff. So you have to do the instructions that the Father gives you, and maybe you'll figure it out. Daniel probably died never understanding this stuff. But that ain't who are you? You're here to do a job. Does the screwdriver need to understand that it's building a cabinet set? No, it just needs a screw.
Verse 9. And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
And that's why the wicked don't want to get on this book and learn these things, because they can't understand. And you can tell somebody can't understand by their actions. Because when you conducting yourself a certain ways, because you don't understand. Because after Yah deal with you and he touch you and he embarrass you and expose you and He start removing people from your life and things out of your life, and you learn. I understand. Just like brother Cassette brought up last week with Job. Job said, "Yeah, I heard of you, but now I know you." So the wicked ain't gonna understand, and the more wickedness you do, the less you understand, to the point that you just burnt out.
Verse 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waits and comes to the 1,335 days.
All right, so there's one of the great mysteries of the Bible. I have not come across anybody that can answer that, and I'm not going to teach something that I don't know. Even my own elder couldn't answer this. And one thing I did learn is when you're dealing with prophecy, if you don't know, don't just make some up. And if you got an idea, run it against scripture. And if scripture shows that it's completely wrong, throw it out. That's how you don't lean on your own understanding. So what's happening here is talking about the 3.5 years, which is 1,290 days, and a prophetic year, which is 360 days. But then it says, blessed is he that waits. It comes to the 1,335 days. That's 1335 versus 1290. That's the difference. Why? But he took the time to make a difference in those days. So if anybody knows the answer to that, definitely let us know, because we haven't even heard anybody come up with an explanation that can match scripturally. All right, so finish that last verse.
But go you your way till the end be, for you shall have rest, and stand in your lot at the end of the days.
All right, so this great tribulation that nobody's talking about, the only people talking about it is the Hebrews. Most camps ain't talking about it. All this thing that, the gloom and doom, they like to call it. Nobody wants to talk about this, but yet we're looking at the condition of the earth and we're seeing it getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But we're not looking at the scripts to tell us what's coming and how we're going to deal with it. Even our leaders are being part of the misdirection. So let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Let's get more context on this great tribulation. Jeremiah chapter 30, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal, saying, Write you all the words that I have spoken unto you in a book. For lo, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Yasharal, and Yahweh, says Yahweh. And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
So if you don't even know who you are, you focused on being an American instead of understanding your culture like everybody else that's spending all this money to do DNA so they can find a culture. But you don't know your culture. Your culture is telling you, hey, he gonna reverse this captivity and he gonna bring us back to our land that was allotted to us. But we fighting to stay here. The misdirection. Why would they let you know who you are and tell you where you going if it's going to take money out their pocket?
Verse 4. And these are the words that Yah spake concerning Yasharal and concerning Yahweh. For thus says Yah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace.
And that's typically what the prophet's coming with. He's coming with the news you don't want to hear. Every time the prophets show up, are you here for good? Because every time you come, you got with bad news. Well, you wouldn't ask that if you was doing righteousness. If you was doing righteousness, you wouldn't have this trembling and fear and all this type of stuff. You ain't doing right. So Yahweh is saying, look, this is what's coming. It ain't smiles and joys and teruahs. No, it's a voice of trembling, fear, and lack of peace.
Verse 6. Ask you now and see whether a man does travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness.
And again, because the natural man doesn't understand what's coming on, he's not prepared. Because the natural man knows that he doesn't have protection of the Most High, he's afraid. Because he don't believe in the Most High, so he don't expecting the Most High to save him. And he knows that he's outmatched. So when that time comes upon him, he don't have nowhere to go. He gonna turn into a little girl. Like they say, like a woman in travail, bent over, terrified. But if you know the role you play, you know that you the warrior, you know you the rock in the movie. You the warrior in the end that's gonna win and be the hero. What you afraid of? But they misdirecting us, having us believe that we are the Gentile instead of the nation, Israel.
Verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
All right, so we will be saved out of it. So in the time of trouble, Israel gonna be saved out of it, and all those that deal righteously with the nation of Israel. And I'm not talking about the state of Israel that the United Nations set up. We're talking about the people, the biblical Israel.
Verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off your neck, and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and Dawid their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear you not, O my servant Jacob, says Yahweh. Neither be dismayed, O Yasharal, for lo, I will save you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I've scattered you, yet will I not make a full end of you, but I will correct you in measure, and will not leave you altogether unpunished.
Praise Yah. Shabbat Shalom. So verse 11, for I am with you, says Yahweh. This is why they trying to get you to focus on everything but your creator. He says, though I make a full end of all nations where I've scattered you. So they know that their nations are coming to an end. Why would they want you to know who you are? Because the fact that you're moving towards their benefit, they can continue. So when he's talking about the fall of Babylon, this is what he's talking about. He's not talking about just the fall of Iraq. Who Iraq messing with? Iraq ain't messing with nobody. They've been failed. Confusion. Babylon means confusion. The places that were used for our punishment, all them places are going to fall. And he's correcting us in measure, but he's not going to forsake us. Verse 12. Jeremiah,
thus says
chapter
Yahweh.
30.
Sorry?
I'm sorry. We're at Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 12.
For thus says Yahweh, your bruise is incurable, and your wound is grievous. There is none to plead your cause, that you may be bound up. You have no healing medicines. All your lovers have forgotten you, they seek you not. For I have wounded you with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of your iniquity, because your sins were increased.
All your lovers have forgotten you. We were married unto the Most High, and we turned around and we fixed ourselves to all the idols of the nation. And how do you worship Yah? You worship him just by saying, hey, I worship Yah. No, you worship him in your actions by doing the ways of Yah. So how do we worship these other gods? We do the actions that's associated with the worship of that God. So we have done all this idolatry and adultery. And despite all that, he's saying, look, I'm still going to chastise you in measure, because if I give you what you deserve, you're going to cease to be a nation.
Verse 15. Why criest you for your affliction? Your sorrow is incurable for the multitude of your iniquity, because your sins were increased. I've done these things unto you.
So imagine you tell a child, don't put your hand on this stove, you're going to burn yourself. He puts his hand on the stove and burns himself. And you see, I told you, don't do that. He crying, okay, you got sympathy. Put some ice on it, kiss it, make it better, right? Then he go back and do it again. Then he do it again. Then he do it. Now he's 24, 25. He's still putting his hand on the stove. You think the parent, you think you crying out for that child? Oh my goodness, come here. I'm so sorry. You burnt yourself, young man. You 24 years old. You an idiot. So this is how the Most High, and even despite that, he's still being compassionate to us.
Verse 16. Therefore, all they that devour you shall be devoured, and all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil you shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon you will I give for a prey.
So despite the fact that I punished you in measure, everything and everyone that was used to punish you, they gonna get punished because they put their hand on Yah's anointed. Point blank, he anointed our nation to be his firstborn son. So yeah, we did this to ourselves. We put ourselves in that position. Yah allowed it to happen. And we getting our punishment right now. Their time is coming.
Verse 17. For I will restore health unto you, and I will heal you of your wounds, says Yahweh, because they called you an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeks after. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places. And the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving and the voice of them that make merry, and I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them.
So if he's telling us this is where we're going to be, we think that it's just going to be a magic button. He press it and all of a sudden we like before time. And, that's that Gentile thinking. You're not just going to be a martial artist, a Bruce Lee, and you ain't going to practice. He just you going to do the Mr. Miyagi and start shaking. All of a sudden you a martial artist. It don't work that way. You're going to have to get on that mat and train and get your butt kicked a little bit, sweat and bleed. So it's the same thing with this word. You think you're going to be the priests and the kings of the Most High Yah, and you ain't practicing? What you practicing? Being a Gentile? What you think you're going to be? So of course they got us focused on the things that's important to them. You ready for some football? A Monday night party? All that they going us to focus on, everything they want to focus on. We just posted on Israelite Gathering on the Facebook page. The dude from 3-6 Mafia, Lord Infamous, this dude came out right and told in the interview, yes, I'm misleading and I was worshiping the devil, trying to get black people to get comfortable with 666. He misleading us. This is out here. This is intentional. So if you know this is going on and you know that they're trying to get you not to look at the tree of life, why am I arguing with you about the tree of knowledge of good and evil? You got us in the garden. That was the first man and woman of Yah. So You can't blame them. But you thousands of years after, you gonna fall for the same play? You mean I'm gonna do the whole spin my arm this way and punch you with the other hand, and you talking about you still getting hit with that? That's your fault.
Verse 21. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that has engaged his heart to approach unto me, says Yahweh.
It said their nobles shall be of themselves. So we're not gonna have these Gentiles, these Euro Gentiles, Greeks, sitting on top of our nations talking about they the king of this place. But everybody else in the land melanin, but this so-called Euro Gentile, yeah, he's the noble of the land. Them days over with.
Verse 22. And you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim.
You will be his people, not a people that claim to be you, saying that they his people. You gonna be his people. And Yah is gonna be our Elohim, not the government, not money, not religion.
Verse 23. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goes forth with fury, a continuum whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it.
In the latter days you shall consider it. So what you consider it? What you consider it? What, March Madness? You know, what your bracket is looking like? This is the things that they have for us to misdirect us, to keep us looking at everything. Aliens, a bunch of AI. Why you think AI became so easily accessible for free? They don't even have to pay for it. So that it could be so much lies, you can't even tell the difference. So you're not going to be able to use your carnality to figure out what's true or not true. The only thing you're going to have is the Holy Spirit. And if you ain't picked it up, it's too late when that time comes. Let's go to Isaiah, Yeshayah, chapter 2. See, the wicked, they lost. The nations, they lost. They know what's coming, but they have chosen to, like every movie, you're going to try to fight the Most High. Like you're going to try to harness the power of the devil to beat God. That's every movie. That's what they do. And what happens at the end of every movie? It blows up in their face. They even telling you what happens. So you got the Gentile and the wicked, not all Gentiles, but the wicked Gentiles and the wicked Israelites. They all doing the same thing. Let's find somewhere to run and hide instead of let's deal with the thing that's causing Yah to punish us. So the misdirection is focus on the punishment instead of focusing on why you're getting punished. That's what a child does. You yell at a child, he goes in a corner and I hate my mom because she did it. Well, why she spank you? Well, I ain't really consider that. Well, could be because you're about to burn the whole house down playing with matches. Well, let me address playing with matches and stop doing the thing that's getting my butt whooped. But an immature child ain't gonna think like that. They just gonna be, I hate you and all that type of stuff. You're a grown man. You think the Most High just punishing us for fun? Isaiah, Yeshayah chapter 2. Go ahead and start that at verse 1, bro.
All right. The word that Yeshayah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Yahweh in Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it.
All right, so this is symbolic. The government of Yasharal, is going to be atop all governments and exalted above all principalities and powers and control.
Verse 3. And many people shall go and say, Come you, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
Because we in control. We see what happens when the nations are in control. It's a bunch of war because they weren't given instructions. Can you blame them? I mean, they're doing what they're created to do. Same thing we did when we didn't follow instructions. But we are going to sit atop the nations to the point where there ain't no need for swords and nuclear weapons and everything because we got peace. They're going to come to us and say, teach us Yah's ways. How are they going to come say, here, let me come to a people that didn't keep Yah's ways and ask him to teach me Yah's ways. Didn't y'all just get punished for not keeping Yah's ways? And you're still not keeping Yah's ways, but teach me. Ain't nobody that stupid. And that don't make no sense. But Yah gonna remove all of our people that don't want to keep his ways. So the Gentiles smart enough to know, hey, the people that is alive, they must be keeping Yah's ways. Teach us that because we want to be alive.
Verse 5. O house of Yaakov, come you, and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. Therefore you have forsaken your people, the house of Yaakov, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbles himself, therefore forgive them not.
All right, so this is the condition of the earth with the Gentile rule. Wickedness across the land. So they know that. So they prepare. They know the judgment is coming. You think they don't believe in Yah? They just don't believe Yah is the strongest power. They think the devil's stronger. Verse 10.
Enter into the rock and hide you in the dust for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty.
Ain't that just watch the money? Ain't that what all the billionaires doing now? They building bunkers and underground facilities and building into mountains. And, you know, when they tell you all this, they going into space stuff. They ain't going into space. They going into the earth. They going deep underwater and all kind of different places to hide from the judgment of Yah. They might not call it the judgment of Yah. They might call it something different, like the end of the world or doom or this, that, and the other. No, it's judgment.
Verse 11. The lofty looks of men shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day.
If you want to remember what that looks like, remember when we had the pandemic? Where was Elon Musk and, you know, all these people, you know, Fauci, man, these people, you could see it in their faces. They was terrified because they created something they didn't know if they could manage it. So that's what you're going to see. All them lofty faces, that Elon Musk smug face that he make. You think he going to have that when his money can't do a thing? Especially he know he can't go into space. You think he would be here if he could go into space? You think he'd be down here? He'd be in space, a quadruple trillionaire selling space land. Please.
Verse 12. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all the pleasant pictures.
All right, so when you see them ships of Tarshish, Tarshish is Spain, them the big trading ships. So the equivalent to that now would be them big barges that's built to carry big cargo. And guess who the biggest cargo is? People. All this trafficking. How you think they trafficking people? You think they putting them on planes and flying them over here? That's them ships of Tarshish. Verse 17, and remember them ships of Tarshish. We're gonna finish with them ships of Tarshish and see where they gonna end up.
And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and Yahweh alone shall be exalted in that day.
Praise Yah. Just like in the day of the pandemic, all the people that did not have faith were terrified to death, scared to death because they were misdirected into what's crazy. And I shouldn't even go into this. They probably gonna ban this class. But go look up the Spanish flu. Go look up the Spanish flu of 19 something. That's what they were comparing this pandemic to. The Spanish flu, you're a nursing, right? You a nursing? Okay. The Spanish flu, when you look it up, misdirection. Right. Misdirection. It ain't even a flu. They misdirecting like crazy. The Spanish flu was a bacteria. So this is what they doing. Yeah, that's what they trying to call. When you look up the facts behind it, it was a bacteria, just like what we just dealt with. The act of misdirection. And all these people were terrified because they created something that they thought that they couldn't control. But y'all was just allowing it all to go down to the point where folks wouldn't even keep Passover. That's how afraid people were. So when the real hit comes, you're going to see that loftiness of man being bowed down. And when you see him mention things twice, like verse 11, the lofty shall be humbled. The lofty looks as humble. He's repeating it for a reason. So you know for sure, this is what's coming. Verse 18.
And the idols he shall utterly abolish. They shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for the fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth.
So you think it's coincidental that Facebook done built their own cave? You think that's a coincidence? Amazon and all these people? They know what's coming. They not telling you, they misdirected and telling you everything else. Many of them believe more in Yah than we do. Finish that up. You're going to say it multiple times so you know where they're going.
Verse 20. And that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats.
So they throwing this stuff to the side because they realize it ain't going to help them. So they hiding. And where are the moles and bats at? Where do they reside? On top of the mountain? Because that's where he said the believer's going to be, on top of the mountain. Where they at? In caves and in holes. Verse 21, in case you missed it.
To go into the clefts of the rock and into the tops of the ragged rocks for the fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty when he arises to shake terribly the earth.
So while things is falling and shaking and people is afraid, they hide in themselves. Just like an ostrich, stick his head in the sand, hoping that things going to be better. But Yah's people is going towards him, just like the firemen go towards the fire when things are going on. Imagine Moshe, he had to go towards all these things when the lightning and the thunder and all that type of stuff was going on. Did we finish that?
Or one more verse. Verse 22. Cease you from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of?
All right, so let's go to Ezekiel 36, and then we have one more for the conclusion. Ezekiel chapter 36. Just like we've been telling you, for months, especially since 2019 with the 400 years, all this stuff that's going on, they're not trying to let you know. If we trying to depend on our enemy to warn us, you're an idiot. Your people have to warn you. Your people that have the same interest as you have to warn you. The watchman has to warn you. That is his job. So you can't be foolish enough to think that they're going to tell you when you need to worry. Because when you turn on the TV, all you see is stuff to worry about, right? That's all you see. Worry about this, worry about that, worry about this. Don't go here, don't go that. This bad news, that bad news. Why are they not telling you what's really going on? Look at these planes falling out the sky. Plane crashes. All of London whole airport shut down. Affected the whole world. Where's the world investigation? Federal planes falling out the sky. Where's the press conference with the president? Listen, we're here to address this. We're going to make sure that it's safe for Americans. They ain't doing none of this. Why? There's misdirection going on. Definitely misdirection. You ain't answering critical questions. Ezekiel chapter 36, let's start this at verse 1.
Also, you son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Yasharal and say, you mountains of Yasharal, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus says Yahweh Elohim, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of all of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, you mountains of Yasharal, hear the word of Yahweh Elohim. Thus says Yahweh Elohim to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey.
All right, so again, these are all those people that's in the land right now fighting for their lives in Gaza and northern Israel. All the heathen that moved into our land and made it, joy while we were getting dispelled. The only people that's really left in the land, which we go back into our word shows, was the poor people. The poor people of Israel were the only ones that were left. Everybody else was shipped out.
Verse 6. Prophesy therefore concerning the land of Yasharal and say, unto the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys, thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because you have borne the shame of the heathen. Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, I've lifted up my hand, surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. But you, O mountains of Yasharal, you shall shoot forth your branches and yield your fruit to my people of Yasharal, for they are at hand to come.
So the land, it looked like a desert right now. They got to pump water in to the point where the Dead Sea almost drained out. So he's saying them governments that's over there right now is polluted by the heathen. They all finna get dispelled, and we finna be the righteous government, and you're going to see that land prosper like it did in the biblical times. Why would they tell you that? They making so much money. You see Trump trying to get Gaza. Why he going to tell you this? Verse 9.
For behold, I am for you, and I will turn unto you, and you shall be tilled and sown. And I will multiply men upon you, all the house of Yasharal, even all of it, and the city shall be inhabited, and the way shall be builded. And I will multiply upon and I will multiply upon you, man and beast, and they shall increase and bring fruit. And I will settle you after your old estates, and will do better unto you than at your beginnings, and you shall know that I am Yahweh.
So he's telling you, I'm about to settle you up. I'm going to put you back in your old estate. We don't even know what an estate is. He's putting you back in your old estate. You own land. You over here fighting to be in the land of your captivity when he say, I'm going to put you back in your old estates. To my real generational wealth. Verse 12.
Yea, I will cause men to walk upon you, even my people Yasharal, and they shall possess you, and you shall be their inheritance, and you shall no more henceforth bereave them of men. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, because they say unto you, you land devourers of men, and have bereaved your nations. Therefore you shall devour men no more, neither bereave your nations any more, says Yah. Neither will I cause men to hear you in the shame of the heathen any more. Neither shall you bear the reproach of the people any more. Neither shall you cause your nations to fall any more, says Yah. Moreover, the word of Yah came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Yasharal dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman.
So this is why we got removed. What makes us think that we're going to continue with the same actions and be alive to be part of this, where we getting put back in the land? You think he going to put us back in to be just to root us out?
Verse 18. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings I judged them. And when they entered unto the heathen, wherever they went, they profaned my holy name, when they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, and are going forth out of his land.
So Yah embarrassed that the heathen will even say, these are the people, the children of Israel. It was an embarrassment to Yah, to the point where they not even saying that no more. We defiled the name so much where we're not even saying it no more until we return to our culture, return to Yah's righteousness. And now we would say, hey, we the children of Israel. If we ain't doing that, we're not going to claim that. We wouldn't even have knowledge of it.
Verse 21, but I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Yasharal had profaned among the heathen where they went.
He had pity for his own name, his own brand. I can't let the brand go in the crap because these people doing this. Let me go ahead and fix this situation. So it's for his name's sake, not because we did some kind of righteousness or we were just this great people. That's why we can't boast against the Gentiles or anybody else, because this is just Yah's mercy. That's it. We not no better than nobody. It's him. The thing that he put in us is the only thing that makes us any better or different than anybody else.
Verse 22 in Ezekiel chapter 36. Therefore say unto the house of Yasharal, thus says Yahweh Elohim, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Yasharal, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen where you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, says Yahweh Elohim, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes.
So he's going to be separated in us before the eyes of everybody. Because when we were in the land, we didn't sanctify him. We did idolatry. we got kicked out. His name looked like crap. Now we amongst all the nations, we still doing the same things. Y'all name look like crap. But he's saying, nah, because I am who I am, I'm going to sanctify them before their eyes. So everybody going to see, yeah, what I said was true. These people just messed up. And he's doing that for his own sake. So this is why we should be as humble as ever. We're not getting anything because we just did a great job. It's for his own name's sake. So what is he going to do? Verse 24.
For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
So if we are
Then will I sprinkle
in the land of our captivity right now, where he going to bring everybody out of Africa and bring them into America? Does that make sense? So they can be treated like niggas? He said, I'm gathering you out of all your countries and bring you into your own land. This is not our land. We traveled here just like everybody else.
Verse 25. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you.
All right, this is the prophesying of the baptism, the repentance of baptism, water baptism.
A new heart will I also give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them.
All right, so how do you define that? A new heart, a new spirit. I'm going to take away that stony heart and give you a heart of flesh and put my spirit in you. What does that look like? He follows it right up and calls you to walk in my statutes and keep my judgments. You're going to need a new heart, new flesh, new all that to do that. Verse 28.
And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim.
So how are you going to dwell in the land and think you're going to have peace and you're not keeping his commandments? This is why the state of our people in Israel is so horrible right now. Because you talk to the people in the land that came right out of here, they don't even know the Bible. They don't even understand. They say they believe in Torah. They don't even understand the Torah. How can you expect to prosper like that? But because Yah said, look, so the house of David does not magnify himself, I'm going to send the tents of Judah there first. But the house of David, they the one that knew the law. They, the kings, had to write a copy of the law.
Verse 29. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn and will increase it and lay no famine upon you. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree and the increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen.
All right, praise Yah. We can stop right there. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Revelation chapter 18 for the conclusion. Revelation chapter 18. So for Yah's name's sake, we are going to be delivered. For his own name's sake, for the fact that we are named after him as a people, for the fact that we are married unto him, and for the fact that he wrote all of this thousands of years before we actually came about and did any of this, he's going to make that happen because his name, his character is infallible. It's truth. It's knowing the beginning and the end before it happens. That's his character, righteousness. So with all that being said, the biggest thing that they're trying to misdirect us from is Revelation chapter 18. That's the fall of Babylon. So let's go to the conclusion. Revelation chapter 18, let's start this at verse 1.
And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
And what's going on in this country right now? This is where you go to do all your wickedness. This is where you can do the highest level of wickedness, and they make it legal to do so. You can find any place you can go. We got territories we own that you can go and do wickedness. So this is what this country has become. And this is how it started. Because how did this country start? This nation started with Europe kicking out their most wicked people, kicking out the worst devils, every foul spirit, all the weird stuff. You want to sleep with a goat? Okay, no problem. Hop on this boat, go to America. That's where you belong. You got 3 arms? Hop on this boat and go over there. This is how this country started. So why you think these people so racist? Why they hate us so much? Because they've been the ones that their families have been the ones that have been treated like crap. And then the rich just came over here when it became something and just started making money. So this is how it began. That's how it's going to end.
Verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues.
All right, so come out of her. Again, Babylon means confusion. Now you got ecclesiastical Babylon, and you got, the old Babylon, original Babylon, which is Iraq. But then you have the daughter of Babylon. What came out of the Rome, which is ecclesiastical Babylon? The Greeks, this Greek mentality that has conquered the whole world with slavery. All of this is going on. So that structure is going to fall. Not just America. America's the headquarters of all this stuff, but that structure. That's why when in 2019, when judgment came and began, it began with all the nations, especially those ones that had them ships that brought us over here. Them the people that got hit the worst statistically. So all of that is coming. And what good is it to leave the place of your captivity when you were sent to captivity for not keeping the commandments? So you're going to leave your captivity to not keep the commandments? It's just that simple.
Verse 5. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Elohim has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she says in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh Elohim who judges her.
All right, so that is the judgment that's coming. Now we know that great city, the one that is affecting everybody, is going to get the worst of that judgment. They are the beginning, just like we were the beginning of judgment. The world is seeing what judgment looks like and what happened to us. We were the first of it. So Babylon, or America KKK, is going to be the first to get that big blow. And when it gets that big blow, it's going to be so quick and permanent. But Yah is going to deliver his people out of that. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is your judgment come.
That's why they fleeing America like that. That's why they getting land everywhere else, and they building bunkers other places and going different places, because they fleeing. They don't want this smoke, especially if you got old money in other places. You don't want it. You know what's coming this place. But the merchants, go ahead.
And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buys their merchandise anymore.
So ain't no more sex trafficking. Ain't no more using the children of Israel and putting them out there to go do gladiator sports and be 30 years old, can't walk up a flight of stairs. All that stuff is over with. That was making you all those millions of dollars, and using our talent. Our Levites that's supposed to be sitting in the temple singing songs of praise are now singing 666 and all this weird stuff that they got. All that stuff is over. So that's the ships of Tarshish right there. Verse 12.
Verse 12. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all plying wood and all manner of vessels and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that your soul lusted after are departed from you, and all the things which were dainty and goodly are departed from you.
Look at all
You
these
shall
things.
find them no more at all.
Look at all these things that they're going to be lost of. All these things that they were using to get money from us. All these things. And look at what's on there. And slaves and souls of men. All that stuff. Judgment is coming. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want you to understand because you might be fearful and repent. And that's the whole purpose of these classes, to fear Yah, not to fear what they're trying to give us to fear. To fear Yah, make those changes so that we can focus on the good things of this book, where it's talking about us returning to our land and doing all that. But if you ain't focused on the things that you know you ain't supposed to be doing and correcting that, you're not going to inherit those good things. You're going to be right along with the wicked that's enjoying their life right now.
Verse 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and in purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the companies and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off.
They don't want none of that smoke. They know what time it is, just like they knew what time it was with Israel when we got destroyed. They said, man, that's the people, they didn't listen to the God of their land. You see what happened to them? So they know what's happening to America. But at the end of the day, look how quick. What happens when these nations call in their debt? China and Japan, where my money at? Your rich is gone just like that. Once the dollar ain't the anchor system, and you got to actually produce some goods and actually have some real capital. Oh, all these people you thought that was Americans, all of a sudden they Russian now. They German, they Chinese, they all them other nations they was before they come here. What you gonna be? Israel? I'm black. Okay. Verse 19.
And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, you heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for Elohim has avenged you on her.
All right, so look who should be rejoicing. The host of heaven, the holy apostles, prophets, all the people that spoke Yah's righteousness. You should be rejoicing because his word is true.
Verse 21. And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all.
So I wouldn't want to settle in a place that ain't going to be here no more. It tells us about the islands, which were our place of captivity. All them places of our captivity, they're not going to be here no more. So I don't know if I really want to run and stay in the places where we just left out as slaves. That might not be smart. Verse 22.
And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in you. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in you. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in you. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in you. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in you. For your merchants were the great men of the earth. For by your sorceries were all nations deceived.
Sorceries, right? Ain't that witchcraft? And what does the main tool for magicianry and witchcraft is? Misdirection. So through misdirection, they had all the nations deceived to focus on whatever it was that could get them to make money, to make merchandise of us. It's no different with these religions or these black Hebrew Israelite camps. Same thing, misdirection, so that they can make merchandise of you. So all of this stuff that's going on right now, they know, they see what's going on because they're participating on it for their own agenda, but they're not going to tell you. Finish that up.
Verse 24. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth.
And in her, where is this her? Now we know America is big, but we clued on it earlier in Jeremiah 30. I'm going to go right back to it and tell you, because he showed you what's going to happen. He told you what's going to happen. It's not just one place. So when we looking at the fall of Babylon, we thinking like, oh, it's America. America is just one place. That's the headquarters of confusion. But Jeremiah 30 confirms in verse 11. Confirms. Read that again. Jeremiah 30 and 11.
All right, 1 second.
So this is the confirmation when he's talking about the fall of Babylon. Yeah, we know America is going to fall because she is the belly of the frying pan, the belly of the beast.
All right, Jeremiah 30 and 11. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I've scattered you, yet will I not make a full end of you, but I will correct you in measure and will not leave you altogether unpunished.
So when you thinking that it's one place, I will make a full end. That word for full end, I just learned what that word was. To make a full end of something is kala. Kala. Completion, termination, full end, complete, destruction, consumption. So he's going to completely destroy those nations where we were scattered. So where we were imported and exported as slaves and mistreated, all the power structure that was involved in that will be fully destroyed and will no longer be. And the headquarters of that was here. All right, so praise y'all. That's all we're going to do today. Again, you know, I know that it might be a little difficult to stare down the barrel because, you know, this is not the most, you know, especially women want to be comfortable. And, you know, you don't want nobody scaring your wife, making her feel like, you know, this. But at the end of the day, if your husband's not preparing you for this, you're not prepared for a hard lifestyle and not prepared to be dependent on the Most High, you left for a very rude awakening because it's slowly creeping up on us. And we got a little taste of that in 2019, 2020, and 2021. But that was just the test. The real thing is coming. So we can't allow them to misdirect us. We have to keep our eye on the prize. Our prize is our land, our heritage, our culture, and our repentance. And we need to stay focused on that. Stop allowing all the stuff that they put in, all the news that they giving us to misdirect us, all the major camps that are pushing out all these scandals and all this stuff. Because you got to think how this stuff even got out. How did a brother's whole phone iCloud get out? Who you think was involved in that? The government is allowing this stuff. If they wanted to expose all our dirt, they could have been exposed us because everybody got dirt. But there's no means should you be in leadership and doing the type of things that will cause you to lose your salvation and expect to lead and judge. It ain't gonna happen. Y'all gonna expose it. So before y'all expose us, we better start exposing ourselves by acknowledging we ain't doing what we supposed to do and start fixing those things. Because if you waiting on media to tell you, hey, it's about to go down, it ain't gonna happen. So that's all we're gonna do today. Let's go ahead and y'all's will. We will see you for our Bible study on Tuesday. If you've gained anything from us and would like to donate, you can go to the Rumble page. There's a donate section. You can go to our Cash App, $Sword ATL. You can donate if you have physical things you want to donate. Reach out to us on the app or reach out to us on our email, which is info@israelitesgathering.com. Go ahead and check out the Holy Days calendar. We got Passover coming up in about 10 days from today. We'll have Passover. So Passover is one of those holy days where he said that's the holy day where for whatever reason you ain't able to do it the first time, do it the second month. And there ain't no redos on no other holy days. So it's pretty important. So we definitely want to be prepared for that, which means you should be starting to clean your homes so that you could prepare to get that leaven out so that you're not having to throw out a whole bunch of food. So Yah's will, we will see you for Bible study. Until then, everybody enjoy your Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, Brother Cassette.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. All praises to the Most High for giving us the opportunity to become, together as a family each and every week. I think that is really important. We know we're scattered all over the place. Many of us are in all kinds of different states, and some of us are in different time zones, but I'm grateful we can at least do this once a week. So, y'all stay prayed up because there are a lot of things happening to America. And there's many things that are happening that are being hidden from us. So we can weather this storm because there is nothing we have not lived through in this country. We have faced every single hard time a human being could possibly face. And we're still here. We're still here. I was laughing because this morning I was listening to a video and this white man was on there saying that they want to get rid of us so that this nation can be mostly white. I said, first of all, it would be stupid to get rid of us because y'all are not reproducing. So eventually the nation would be empty. Y'all not reproduce. Why would the people that are not reproducing want to dominate the nation? It would be stupid. Y'all can't even keep your generations going if you're not reproducing. You should be the last people that take over any landmass at this point because a few more generations, you ain't even going to be there anymore. So, these people talk so silly and they don't even think about what they're saying. They know what their condition is, y'all. They already know. They know that their numbers are dwindling and they're hardly having children every single year. But yet they want to be the one in the land and run everybody else off. What a joke. So y'all, just because they're delusional, we don't have to be delusional with them. So I pray the Most High will keep his most powerful angels around us always. And yes, I was listening to Big Judah when he was on his, shout out to him, when he was on his live yesterday, and how he spoke about, Enoch. And I love Enoch, y'all. That is one of my favorite books. I listened to what at one point in time I was listening to Enoch all the time. I mean, I had that thing on repeat. And he was talking about how the archangel Michael was the one that was our protector, and he would be there to answer any questions or concerns that we had. And we're going to get that back. Everything that we lost, we're going to get back. So we will get Michael back, the chief angel. And I look forward to those days, especially as we start inching our way into the kingdom and we can finally leave this wicked, evil, disgusting world called the Gentile world behind us once and for all. So, y'all, have a wonderful Shabbat, and may the Most High always keep you and your family safe. Shabbat Shalom, family.